Go for it fast.
All right, we have 4 minutes to sign up for the public comment. Got 4 minutes.
At least look like the same. To get a key. No, I don't say that because there was a conversation. Oh, no.
That's what side of it though. That's what it is.
Thank y'all for being here tonight.
After a while, it becomes quality of life as much as
I'll make sure you look for that on that truck. Hey, you can sit up there in front of Donna so she can kick you.
Was he afraid? In fights, right? Oh, but not just us.
And in general, like,
I know it.
Hey, sir, how you doing?
So how you doing? I hadn't seen you in a while. Been doing all right.
What's up?
Enjoyed your cinematography.
We're gonna get an $84,000 grant right, but we can't pay police, we ain't got no police.
He said there last week, he said, I'm applying for a grant right now. If you can apply for a grant, you can write for a grant.
Gerald is not yet. He got stipulations on the grants. That's why we need that money to help stress up townhouses. Nothing would ever happen that way. And all of a sudden, nobody came back to pay qualifications. Something more to it.
Our clock back there is a little fast.
What? But I'm at the town council meeting, I walked over and said, O'clock. First, want to thank everybody that's here. We're gonna have a little dry weather a little bit, and then some rain. So if you're a gardener, you're gonna be in good shape. Got some rain, got some sun, you got some vegetables coming. Anyway, first, before we start, I would like to have a moment of silence for Miss Shanika Smith, who lost her life over in Oak Hill. And I had a chance to meet her 4-year-old son today at about 10:30. And it's a sad situation. I did have a chance to meet the father and the child. And the child was like any other child that don't understand yet. You know, he was eating when he talked, he just wanted his chips and cookies. So he doesn't understand that. So I did have a chance to talk with him. The father's grieving. The town manager met with the biological mother. So there has been communication from this office kiddo, that senseless crime that took place over in Oak Hill. So at this time, we're going to have a moment of silence, and then Mr. Chipalone, if you will open in prayer after that, sir. Let's bow our heads for a moment of silence.
Eternal rest grant unto her, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon her. Let us pray. Eternal God, source of wisdom, justice, and peace, we gather before you today in a time of trial and uncertainty. the town bears the weight of division, confusion, and fear. We confess that at times we have spoken more than we have listened and have acted more from anger than from understanding. Yet still you are present in the silence after the storm, in the neighbor's helping hand, in the small acts of courage and care. You are not distant from our suffering. You walk among us. So now, Lord, we ask, grant us calm in our chaos, clarity in our confusion, and compassion in our conversations. And for those leaders who sit at this table, give them wisdom, give us wisdom beyond our own, a servant's heart, and the courage to do what is right, not just what is easy. Let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream through every decision, every word spoken, and every action taken here tonight. Restore the bonds that have frayed among neighbors. Yes. Renew the spirit of trust that holds a town together. Rekindle in us a shared hope that what is broken can be healed and what is wounded can be redeemed only by you. Bless this meeting with your presence. Bless our lives with your guidance. That what is begun here tonight may lead to peace, to unity, and to the flourishing of all who call this town home. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
To the agenda, I need a motion to approve the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? The consent agenda, need a motion to approve the minutes from May the 5th and approve of the accept resignation from Attorney Aaron Banks. All in favor? Now we're down to public comments. At this time, I will read a statement. Good evening, and thank you all for being here tonight. As we begin our public comment period, I want to remind everyone this is a time for residents to speak directly to the council about matters concerning our community. We value your input and welcome your perspective. To ensure this forum remains respectful, productive, we ask that each speaker limit their remarks to 2 minutes. Please address your concerns to the council as a whole. Remain from personal attacks, inappropriate language, disruptive behavior. This is a space for civil discourse, even when we may disagree. Council members will listen attentively, but please understand this is not the time to go back and forth to discuss or debate. If follow-up is needed, a staff member or council representative may contact you after the meeting. Please be advised that any individual who disregards these rules after being warned may be asked to leave the meeting. If necessary, law enforcement will escort individuals from the premise to assure the continued decorum and safety of the proceedings. We appreciate your cooperation in helping us maintain a respectful and orderly meeting. With that, we will now open the floor for public comment. Madam Clerk, who's up first?
All right, first we have Stephen Lear.
Mr. Lear.
Good evening to you all. Tonight I speak to you on behalf of the Anderson County Tourism Development Authority, or the TVA, as we're more commonly known. And there are other members of that volunteer organization in attendance here at the meeting tonight. I'll ask them to correct anything I might say wrong, add to anything I might leave out. As part of our monthly meeting with that organization, one of the things we do is we review and discuss occupancy data within the county for each month. Now I've got to confess, I'm a somewhat self-professed data nerd, and I love that kind of thing. And I'm pretty good at it because I spent the last part of my education career as a data analyst and also accountability director. So I pay particular attention to that sort of thing, and I think it was about our March meeting when we received our data, our occupancy data, that is, who is spending the night in this county and paying for it. Things like hotels and bed and breakfast and lodges and Airbnb and any of those rentals that you see online, VRBO, those sort of things. when I looked at the March meeting, I immediately zoned in on something that was just a data. It stood out. It stood out to me. So I've said many times in my work with data, data doesn't provide the answers, but it does provide the questions that we need to ask. So I started asking questions about this. What I noticed in March was a sharp downward turn, a significant downward turn in our occupancy data. So I asked, in our discussion, I asked some of our stakeholders in the room, some of those who operate these sort of businesses, I said, now, is this just a data anomaly? Is it a seasonal effect? Or are you seeing this in real time? And unfortunately, they confirmed to me that they were seeing this in real time, that it is having that effect on their businesses. And worse than that, they also said it is, that was a quick 3 minutes. Oh, 2, I'm sorry. Okay. Mr. Evans has signed up also with TDA. May I use his minutes?
You may.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So, anyway, they said this also projects into the future and into the summer months when it really should be that things are really hopping for them. They should be getting a lot of reservations. So then our discussion became, what is causing this? What sort of things are causing this? And we discussed things like possible reasons like the negative publicity that we're getting, security and safety issues, and the lack of things that might draw people to this community to spend the night. So I come to you for 2 reasons. Number 1, to raise awareness of this, to let you know that this is happening and it is affecting our local businesses. And 2, to ask for your assistance in helping us to solve this problem. You see, it not only affects these people that have lodges and hotels and all, it affects us all. Because these people don't just spend the night and spend money for that. They also buy gas, and they go to restaurants, and they shop in our places of business. And then, of course, they pay occupancy tax, which, when collected, we use that money for many things in this county. They also pay sales tax, and I believe you guys receive sales tax from the state, part of the sales tax from the state. So it really affects us all. And it is incumbent upon us all to play a part in solving this problem. But I ask you especially, because I can't make policy, and I can't make the decisions that you guys can make, and I can't allocate the funding that you guys can make. So I would say, in your deliberations, please be aware that this is going on and help us to solve the problem. We all need to work to solve the problem, but you guys have to help us as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lear. Next,
Next, we have Sean Pond. Can't get your handwriting fine.
I'm sorry.
Word.
My name is Sean Pond. I live at 1123 Morgan Road. Sorry. Upset. Lost for words. I'm begging you, please, all of you, I want answers, please. I talked to the chief several times, left messages several times. You know, just to make things short, you know, I was robbed first, then vandalized, and then stolen. My stuff stolen 3 more times.
give me that address one more time, please.
And, you know, over a period. But the same person, Scotty Roy Hills, after countless calling and leaving messages and information and not getting, no one's calling me back. I'm just, what, I closed my business? I'm hurt financially. I used to have 5, 6 people working for me. I don't have the tools. I use my money to buy the basics, just to work for myself. So I'm begging you, please.
I want answers. I don't know the law. I tried to call, you know, all the lawyers here in this town. Sorry, it's conflict of interest. So, I know court back by law, I'm, you know, I should be protected as a citizen. Thank you. Remodeling?
One of those things happened at Homes Public Property, and we have eyewitness too.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean.
Madam Clerk.
All right, next we have Lamar Lyles.
I'm standing for you today, my name is Mola, put at the top. Standing for you today in search of a, space to conduct our, Tulsa Top District. Last year we was able to, distribute over 8,000 toys to a little over, 841 kids. What Ms. Davis is, passing out is, pretty much a proposal I have for this, for the space that I'm asking for. We have an account, or I have a Tulsa Top account that, I raise funds into, but most of those funds are, to be purchased for, to be used for. And right now I don't have a space to actually, conduct the campaign this year. If I don't get back with the foundation by, I think, September, middle of September, to give them an address for a specific place, I wouldn't be able to have it this year.
Mark, how many square feet do you need?
Bigger the better. I want to say last year, thanks to Mr. Lee, I might have had around 1,200 to 15 square feet. And pretty much, still had actually had to, also use, Ms. College, from her place to, for the toilet.
1,200 to 1,500 square feet?
No, 15,
Up to 15,000?
no, but last year I had, it was 1,200 feet. 1,200 feet.
How big is the Civitan building? It's not being used. Yeah, just right there, how much you put frame, it's not being used. Hadn't been used it for a while. Boy Scouts used to meet there. It's not being used for anything. Just a consideration.
Madam Clerk, the manager, y'all look into that. We'll look into that, and someone will respond to you. Okay, thank you.
All right, next we have Mr. Bobby Usher.
Discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Once again, I just want to comment on the proposed tax increase. You told that it would be about $60 per $100,000 household, property tax. We haven't been told that every automobile you own, every trailer that you own, every camper that you own will also have a tax increase. So it's more than just a $60 increase on the property when you look at the whole ballgame. You know, I look at the budget and I see $80,000 for a grant writer, 84 county benefits. Wouldn't it be much more logical to contract that out? Because I would think 1 to 2 grants a year might be available, because we know nothing's coming from Washington from what we've seen so far. So that would be one concern I would have. The second concern is I see in new business that we're considering contracting services for a public relations group firm. Come on now, we can't handle that ourselves. We can't handle it in-house. I mean, I know there's the town's taking a beating, the police department's taking a beating, but to come up with the expense to get a firm to public relations, I think we do better than that. You know, I'm concerned about the you know, we look at 3% this year. Next year, there'll be reevaluation, and it's going to be sky high. And most towns or cities they will look at lowering the tax rates so it's revenue neutral, where it's not a big burden on the citizen. But if we raise taxes this year and nothing's done next year, but the tax increase due to reevaluation, you're putting a terrible burden on the citizen. And each and every one of you, if you really have the concern of the citizen in mind, you'll keep this when you come voting for this budget. I am opposed to it, I think that we deserve it. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
We have Terry Hill.
Say it's a pleasure being here. My first 2 minutes is going to be on noise ordinance in this town, as I spoke with Mr. Wiley, and my second issue is treatment of how a weaker person is treated by the employees of the town. I've had 2 episodes of being treated very, just awful, and I don't like that. You should teach the town professionalism. And also, the thing about the noise ordinance, it's 11 o'clock. Where I live at, they make noise all night long, party, call the police, nobody comes. Drive by and look and keep on driving. You know, this has got to stop. I'm 73 years old and I need my sleep. I don't need beating drums or cars going boom, 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 all night long, 4 o'clock in the morning. There's got to be a stop to this. And I want to ask for the ordinance to be lowered to 7 or 8 o'clock. Because 11 o'clock is late. I've got cancer. I've been dealing with cancer for 4 years now. The Lord's been good to me. The Lord's been good to me. He's kept me here 4 years. But I don't need to put up with that in my life. And I talked to Mr. Wiley about it. He agreed with me an issue about being treated abruptly by the employees of the city. And I would like that to be remedied to where I can live the rest of my life in peace. And I say this before I go. A woman's hair is her glory. A man's white hair is his knowledge. What do bald people do? What do bald people do? But anyway, I'm just thankful. I'm thankful to be here. Y'all listening to my plea.
Thank you, sir.
About this.
Thank you.
Next, we have Don Sellers.
Good afternoon, sir. How you doing?
Hey, sir. How are
Good
you?
afternoon. You don't know me, I've been here several times. And what you said earlier about meeting that young man, I'm about right here, right over here. And I want you to ask that tough question you asked Mr. Chune to these guys the very first time you came on scene, Ms. Allen. When you spoke about the officer situation, it had nothing to do with you coming. We finally had to change. Because like you said many times, this crime just didn't start when you got here. It's been here. It's been escalated. And when Brandon took that spot, he started bringing people in, and I went and sat down in his office and got a whole lot more than tow the gun. A whole lot more than tow the gun. Okay? I hadn't just started coming here, Mr. Long. I've been talking to your higher ups from street department, DOT, chiefs. But I spoke to you on Rutherford Street, and I said, going forward, I have to bring a list, everything that's happened in this county, or in this town, rely on this board. You said you had shooting in your neighborhood, you should have been up here tearing this place apart. We pay taxes here, I pay taxes here. And before you raise taxes, you make sure everybody's paying taxes. Make sure everybody's getting it. Because those children, we ain't protecting them, Chief, Coach, we're not protecting them. We're leaving them out to dry. Every day, how many shootings we have here? Tell me what we had the other night down on Sykes Avenue. We had a drive-by deal. So y'all tell me, before you go to raising that thing, make sure they're paying. I think they pay a whole lot of taxes, just like this fellow here said on cars and stuff. You wonder why your community's here? Because we're tired. I didn't, Mr. Ross, I just didn't start coming here because you came here, man. I was coming, I called the last manager for 4 or 5 months. It ain't got nothing to do with you. If you get to know me, I'm moving toward a diverse community, a very diverse community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
And next we have Stephen Green.
Good evening. I'm here tonight because I care deeply about Wadesboro. This town, its people, and our shared future. We're a community with deep roots, strong values, and hard-working people who want the best for their families and their neighbors. But lately, many of us have been unheard, overlooked, and even pushed aside by those in positions of leadership. We've seen decisions made without real connections to the lives that they affect. We've seen policies that seem to serve a few while burdening the rest. And we've seen individuals, some of whom don't even live in Wadesboro, make choices that impact all of us without sharing the consequences. It's not wrong to expect transparency. It's not wrong to ask that those who lead us also stand with us, invest in us, and listen to us. That's not division, it's democracy. There's a growing concern in this community, not out of hate, but out of hope. Hope that Wadesboro can grow in a way that's fair and inclusive. Hope that leadership can be rooted in service, not in power. And hope that we can speak openly without fear of retaliation or intimidation. Lately, we've seen attempts to silence that hope. Threats, legal pressure, efforts to discourage citizens from speaking their truths. The right to speak, to question, and to stand up for the community is not just legal, it's essential. Calling for accountability is not an attack, it's a call to do better for everyone. We're not here to tear anything down, we're here to build something better together, but that only happens when everyone, especially those in leadership, listen and stand with the people, and put the people before politics. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, next we have Tammy Newell.
I just wanted, my name is Tammy Newell, and I live at 408 West Wade Street. I own West Wade Venue and Events. We are a bed and breakfast, and let me tell you, I'm here with the TDA. I belong to the TDA board. We're being affected. We had no guests from January until May 1st. Last year, we had guests every month. The things that are happening in Wadesboro are having an effect. I used to not have any issues whatsoever with my guests after having driven all day, walking to downtown to go to the shops and restaurants or wherever. Now I'm a little leery sometimes of them going. They've almost been hit by a car coming through the red light. They've been approached by someone who had mental illness. And there are issues that concern me. It is not a race thing. It is not a concern for any particular group. But it does concern me that we have issues that scare me when my guests want to walk down the road. Most of them are over 70. They don't walk very fast. Crossing a road and someone decides to run the light, well, they're liable to get hit. And then the town has a responsibility because they're gonna get sued. So I guess my concern is we need safety. We need it to not hear, we're not hearing sirens here lately, but we need quiet after 11 o'clock at night. We need to have a town that supports the business. And I appreciate you guys hearing me.
Thank you. Thank you, Tammy.
All right, next we have John Lyles.
First, I'm here to talk about, got 3 minutes, 1305 7th Street, got some land beside me. And, I've been asking for years and years to get it clean before y'all, any of y'all ever came on the board. And they have not got it clean yet. So I got some paper passed around so y'all can contact them so they can clean the land up because you got killer vines coming in my yard. So I got that. Number two, I sat down and listened to a lot of stuff. Everybody said they care about Anson County. Okay, put everything aside as of today and start working together. Okay? Last week I went in Charlotte. And first thing, one of the guys I was doing a comment, the guy came up to me and said, hey, y'all had a killer in the waste drive. I said, yeah. Police department and the time manager was at fault. I said, police ain't getting nobody no gun. The time manager ain't getting nobody no gun. So, you know, people, something y'all need to know. I go to a lot of different places and I hear a lot of different stuff. A lot of stuff get told from here to other agencies. So, you need to be careful who y'all talk to. Because let me tell you something. Mr. Ross, the police department, ain't getting nobody no gun. Things gonna happen. Y'all think things just happen here? Go to Scotland, go to Richmond, go to Fayetteville, go to Charlotte. It happens everywhere. Okay? You can do all the curfew you want. It's gonna happen. So let's stop pointing fingers at everybody. Now I can't point some finger at a lot of people, but I'm not gonna do it. Okay? You need to work together. Like I've been knowing down the south. Me and him be on the ball field arguing left and right with friends at him. Okay? A lot of stuff needs to change. I'm not putting nothing on the board. I'm putting it on the people in the county. How about that? Because the people, everybody tell you one thing, they go behind your back and stab you in the back.
Thank you, Mr. Lyon.
All right, we have Leon Gatewood.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Leon Gatewood. I have to introduce myself by appointment, Brother Rowe. I was born in a family of 16. We ate saltines and pork and beans. I wore clothes that my big brother left me. We drank sugar water. We didn't have no Pepsi. And even though the holes in my shoes were leaked, at least we had shoes on our feet. And the only way that worked out for us was because our parents knew Jesus. Yes, Lord. Our parents knew Jesus. Now, I have a prepared statement this evening. I want to talk briefly. Good evening, Mayor, Coach Davis, council members, town manager Ross, and my fellow citizens of Wadesboro. Let me begin by saying thank you to this council. Your willingness to step up and serve the community at such a critical time is bold and inspiring to me. To Mr. Ross, you're in our prayers as you attempt to make changes and adjustments that are unpopular to some. Tonight, I stand before you not with frustration, but motivation. Motivated by your ability to stay focused, committed, impactful, even as changes and challenges and distractions swirl around you. Motivated by the progress you made and example you set. Because what matters most is what's happening in our neighborhood. Out there, families are grieving, children are being lost to gun violence, parents are suffering. This is not just a crisis, it's a call to action. Dr. Martin Luther King said, our lives begin to end and they will become silent about the things that matter. And I believe this council understands that. That's why I'm not staying silent and I'm not standing still. I challenge us to use our voice, energy, and resources. And because of what's happening, we're in the process of forming a coalition of churches, schools, community leaders, and everyday citizens who care deeply about our town and our future. And together we will stand for peace, unity, and healing by any means necessary. God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank everyone that spoke. Take the minutes. And there will be a response from the council. At this time, I want to, since we have, I'm gonna do my comments now. Okay, we'll do my comments now. For everyone that prayed for my family, For everyone that prayed for my baby, thank you. She's up walking. For everyone that prayed for my baby, thank you. Is all I can say is thank you. She's here. She's walking. And only God only Him. Some of you, the donation, some of you, thank you. I thank you. That's the reason why I still sit here despite the storm, because I know there are good, genuine people in this room. You agree to disagree, but there's still good, genuine people in this room. Thank you. At this time, we need a motion to go into public hearing.
So motion to go into public hearing.
Second.
Now we're in the public hearing.
Proposed rezoning request for property on West Street, Harley Street, from R20 to R6.
All right, Bill, come on.
Yeah, I think this is.
Yeah, we put them up. Yeah, need a motion. Go ahead.
We have a property that has 200 feet of road frontage, in the neighborhood, 50 feet of road frontage.
Thank you.
So we're just looking to rezone it to get 4 lots in the, one lot of 200 feet. So it's better fit than
Seeing what you're doing, it looks great.
Anything from the council? Anything from right there? All right. Need a motion to go.
Discuss the presentation and the manual operating.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Presentation of the fiscal 25-26 proposed annual operating budget.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and citizens of Wadesboro. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm here to present the proposed fiscal year 25-26 annual budget, which includes both the general fund operating, and water sewer fund. Over the past 2 weeks, as you know, public notices have been published in the local newspaper, and the proposed budget has been made available at Town Hall and on the town's website. This year, we have also provided a new resource for the citizens, so they have it available to them at their home, and that's the budget at a glance handout, which was distributed to the attendees tonight as they came in. So we will be discussing the general fund, the water sewer fund, and special projects. Ad valorem taxes are taxes that are collected throughout the year and all for the current year that you're in, and also the prior year tax levies. Interest on delinquent taxes, late listing penalties, and other costs of collection delinquent taxes. Other taxes and permits are regulatory permits, rezoning and fire district taxes. Permits and fees include golf cart permit, fire inspection fees, parking violations, new fee that has been presented to the fee schedule this year, and that's going to be for false alarms and animal control fees. Restricted intergovernmental is power bill, ABC revenue for the police, control, sub-tax distribution, and departmental grants and donations. Sales and services are the park fees that we charge, trash collections, and trailer rentals. Unrestricted intergovernmental would be payment in lieu of taxes that I believe comes from the housing authority, excise tax, telecommunication, beverage tax, ABC revenue for general fund, and local and option sales tax. Investment income is interest on our investments, sale of capital assets, Miscellaneous revenue is any non-government donation, arrest fees, fall festival revenues, transfers from other funds. And of course, fund balance. Fund balance is the measure of the financial resources that we have available. So highlights for the general fund revenue. What we are proposing in this budget is an increase from .556 to .616 per a $100 of assessed valuation, which works out to impact the citizens $60 per year. This is expected to generate an additional $238,840 at a collection rate of 93%. And I want to point that 93% out, that last year we had a collection rate of 89.15%. We are currently sitting between 93 and 94% collection rate due to Anson County's enhanced enforcement efforts, which includes garnishment, debt set-off, and foreclosures. In addition, trash collection revenue growth. This past Friday, we sent out approximately 200 plus letters to residents who currently have water service outside the city limits, letting them know that we are now going to offer trash pickup for them. I budgeted for 125 customers at a $25 a month, which would increase revenue by $37,500. We are also projecting a reduction in the fund balance allocation. As of right now, fund balance allocation is $304,000, and the budget is $59,000 less for this upcoming budget year. General fund expenditures, that's the breakdown by department. 1.1 million for administration, 2.4 million for police, 1.2 million for fire, 107 for fleet, garage. Street department, 471,000, Powell bill, 298,000 in expenditures. Sanitation department, 402, and Parks and Rec, 69,000. Highlights for the general fund expenditures. We have budgeted 3% COLA for the employees. Last year, they did not get a COLA. We are budgeting for a new grant writer position. Research has shown that a grant writer can help the town bring in extra revenue. I can say that Wiley and I found, I think, 5 grants back in the fall, and I was just perusing the internet, just curious of what kind of grants are out there. And the grants I found, it was too late for us to apply for them, but there were like 5 or 6 just in the fall alone, and that was just one quick search for the state. So I think there are a lot of grants out there that the town can benefit from. And quite a few of them were for the Parks and Rec Department, which personally, I think Parks and Rec, that would be fantastic. The understanding, however, that the success rate for a grant writer does vary based on experience and the application volume. But experienced professionals can secure substantial funds. We do aim to hire a seasoned individual with a proven record to maximize results. Health insurance savings. Wiley and I discussed before the budget that we needed to look into our insurance, health insurance. We both found that our premiums were exorbitant, and as it turns out, we were right. We are going to be able to save approximately $136,000 across the general fund for employees and 13 retirees. Social Security supplement for retirees cost us approximately $65,000. The summary of expenditures, that was not something we were able to lower, that Social Security supplement. We also had an increase in our retirement contribution from 13.66% to 14.35%. Police officers, we pay a higher rate for them, and they also increased. Also in the budget is, we're in the middle of contract negotiations with the county to do an interlocal agreement for 2 911 dispatchers, and currently we're looking at 145, but that's not firm. Also in the budget is the youth program, the North Carolina Co-op Extension, and we budgeted $20,000 for that. And the capital purchase and special projects, we, as you know, have a fire truck that will soon be delivered, and Scott and I are working on getting loan estimates from various banks. On the high end right now, we're looking at monthly payments of $13,300 per month for the next 10 years. This is the breakdown of how I see fund balance being used. So fund balance, as you know, is something that we are supposed to use minimally. It is to be used for one-time purchases, emergencies, items such as that. So this is the breakdown. We have $15,000 in capital purchases that we will be pulling from the Federal Assets Restricted Fund for the police department, and $25,000 for the police for supplies from that same account. $5,000 in administration for office setup for a new grant writer, $11,000 in administration for consulting services, for compensation and policy updates that are 20 years old, Wiley? 25, 20? Yeah.
More than that.
More than that. So, $18,000 for fire, for the RMS software upgrade, which is a federal mandate. $15,000 for fire for rescue rope hardware to maintain the North Carolina heavy rescue certification. And of course, if we don't do that, we lose that certification. The $16,000 for parks is the money that was transferred from the special projects to general fund. So that's what that $16,000 is, so that's also restricted. The $199,052 that's left over out of the $304,000 that's being used for fund balance allocation is being used to balance the budget. And $199,000, and, you know, that, it's not a ton of money, but we are not supposed to use $1 to balance the budget. So, taking that into consideration, just wanna go back for a minute to the fees that Wiley and I are asking to raise, and the taxes that we are asking to raise. We would need to add another $239,000 to that fund balance allocation, which would bring it to almost $450,000 fund balance. So, something I wanted to interject here about this year. We knew coming in, looking at previous year's history, looking at this year's history, knowing what was going on with the raises for the police department, the fund balance allocations, and just all the things that have been going on, Wiley and I just tried all year long to do our best to make as many cuts as possible, to save as much money as possible, so we did not have to raise taxes on the citizens. This is not something we wanted to do. So, this year, we reduced the adopted budget by $75,000. We reduced the fund balance allocation by $192,000. We improved the frequency of depositing idle funds, which resulted in an increase in investment income. We established stricter purchasing policies, and with that came a detailed purchase requisition form, which previously they did not have. The detailed requisition form requires that they list every single item that is being purchased and what the cost is. That purchase requisition needs to be signed by the director, by the finance officer, and then by the town manager. A quote must be attached. 2 quotes are required for a purchase from $500 to $5,000. 3 quotes must be attached if the purchase is from $5,001 to $90,000. We have reduced fees by going live on Invoice Cloud, our online payment system. We have reduced fuel costs due to vehicles being given to key personnel only. We did all that, and we increased police salaries by 10%, and we gave Christmas bonuses to the staff, and we began hiring. Water sewer. So for revenue, you have water sales, that is revenue coming in from the citizens, and the sewer charge is the same. Late fees, unfortunately, when people are late, they get assessed a fee. Tap and connection fees, I have no idea what that is, but I'm sure Nick can explain it. Miscellaneous revenue, and of course, investment income. Water sewer revenue highlights, there's not very many line items in the water sewer fund. So the only big thing is that we expect to increase revenue and interest being earned because of the frequency of depositing idle funds, which I do about every couple of months. And there will be no increase to our citizens to their water and sewer bills. Expenditures, just broken down by water and sewer. That is based on 3% raises for the employees. expenditures, decrease in the fringe benefits for health insurance, increase in the state retirement rates. We added in $200,000 for the lead testing. We increased the general fund allocation that the water sewer fund gives general fund for administrative costs that are incurred to support the water sewer fund by $180,888. And just as a reminder, that Anson County manager, I don't know what the final outcome was, but he did ask the commission for a 12% increase to the town's water fees. So that is an expense that we will incur that we are not planning on passing on to the citizens. And finally, the capital projects, this is something that I need to report to you. It's for informational purposes only, and everything has already been approved in prior council meetings. So I just want to say thank you to the council for hearing me out and for working with Wiley and I at the meetings that we've had. And thank you to the citizens of Wadesboro for your time and your interest and participation in this important process. And council, I now ask if you have questions.
I have one.
Yes, sir.
The grants, you say you and Mr. Ross found, that we was too late to apply for.
Yes, sir.
You got a monetary fee of how much money the town potentially lost in gaining, or no?
I'm sorry, that was back in like October, November.
The majority of the grants went from the police department, from the DOJ grants. Every small town in the country uses grants for supplement funding for their budget, right? And we're no different, right? So you're gonna have to use grants, and it definitely will. Get the right person, will definitely pay for itself, almost twofold. You get the right.
So the DOJ, that I think we will, the DOJ, you really need to go after that for the juvenile department and juvenile justice. We really, if we get it, we really need some.
Yes.
That fund, those are the children that are doing this, and they don't take it to court, so we gotta try to direct them to some type of
The police grants, in addition to Parks and Rec grants, could just do wonders, I think, for the town, if we could get them.
When I was referring to the DOJ, I was referring to the Department of Justice. Not juvenile. Okay. But there's several grants out there, and not just in law enforcement, but Parks and Rec, public works, water and sewer. We utilize a lot of grants right now in water and sewer, so it definitely can be a certain supplement to the town's budget for sure.
And I also want to add that not only will this grant writer be writing grants, this grant writer will also be managing all of those grants.
And the county is also hiring a full-time grant writer. Again, look at municipal government, small towns have to use supplement funding, that's grant. And it can be advantageous to a small town like this. And so we're gonna utilize that and see, certainly, it can help us. And we think it can, absolutely can.
Any more questions?
I want to, I found a couple of columns in the budget. If you could just replace your pages, it's nothing that changes the budget in the page. It's just something I wanted for accuracy. Thank you.
Just to clarify, the other things, as it relates to some things in reference to asset forfeiture, as it relates to some of the comments that Mrs. Mason made, there's going to be a correction. Certain restricted funds you can't use for police purposes, right? So we can correct that. You can only use certain funds for certain things when it comes to law enforcement. So we will make sure that we are following the rules and guidelines of that. We do have a lot of money. Not so lot of money. We do have funds in asset forfeiture from previous law enforcement administrations here in town, and they're starting to come in. So we will be utilizing that, but there's guidelines, you can only do certain things with those funds. And we'll make sure that it is followed.
I don't, I'll just say, if I can comment, I don't advocate hiring a grant writer at this time. I don't think we should make the hiring commitment for a grant writer until we test the waters a little bit and see what one's doing do for us. You can go to grants.gov, roll your eyes. You can go to grants.gov and you can see all kinds of grants out there that you're prospecting. As a seasoned grant writer, I can see hundreds of grants. But my potential of being able to apply and get to them because your competition is fierce. You can build into your grant the cost of the grant writer and the administration of that grant. And with the hiring of a finance director, that takes a lot of the responsibility off the town manager that they've had in the past. So with all of that staff, I think, but for a year, we can put off this expenditure and test the waters by hiring and contracting with professional grant writers. And I'll hook you up with Duke University. They're all over there, and they will. If they get like the evaluation of the grant or how it's been managed or whatever, they will build that into the cost of the grant, thus saving us a commitment in hiring, a commitment in statutories, Medicare, FICA match, potential whatever separation. So that's what I'm just saying. That's what I do for Homes of Hope. That's what I do for the church. That's what I've done for multiple other organizations. You can prospect all you want to. Until you hook something and bring it in, you're just prospecting. And before we go into this full blown, I think that it's prudent, it's necessary, and it's due diligence to test the waters first and at least find somebody that will contract with us and then go from there. I do internet searches every day for different things, everything from painting the sanctuary of the church to playgrounds, community gardens, and bunches of them out there. And you need, one grant writer can only do one thing. Those do so much, prospecting. You have to have qualified people go for USDA. We're in a sweet spot. We're in Little County. We got USDA grants, and there are USDA grant writers out there. Go talk to them in Rockingham over here on Walton Road. They'll find one. But before we make a hiring commitment, we need to be a little more physically responsible, I think, and knock $89,000, $100,000 back out of the budget. $5,000 to outfit an office for this person? No. $84,000 to $89,000 for their salary? No. We don't need to do that right now. That's just my personal opinion.
Any other comments from the public? Yes.
Thank you. This is Steve Lear, Citizen Steve Lear now talking for Steve Lear, but I am talking in support of Uptown Wadesburg. And I would ask that you consider restoring that funding for the Uptown Wadesburg director in the budget. It is, I don't know the exact amount, but approximately $30,000 is what has been appropriated in the past. You will get that money back many times over. You'll get the money back in financial things that the director would bring in from the Uptown paver projects, grants, funding that they get from the local foundations. That money will come back to you. That's a good return on investment and money well spent. If I could recognize Tammy Newell, I've asked Tammy, I'm not currently on the Uptown Wadesburg board. I have served on that board. Again, that's a largely volunteer board. But Tammy can tell what an Uptown Wadesburg director would do for you for that $30,000.
Part of what the director does is monitors the brick paver program, which is a program that brings money into Uptown Wadesburg, which is being used to replace trash cans, planters, things of that nature that helps beautify the downtown. The director is responsible for keeping a list of all empty property downtown, and then working with the economic development to get leases into those empty spaces so that we can make sure that we have a vital downtown. One of the things is the parade. Being responsible for the parade, and I will tell you, I worked last year because we didn't have a director. I worked for 2 months on that parade, and I started at 7 a.m. with phone calls until 11 p.m. with phone calls. And it is a full-time job during parade time. The fireworks, any type of events downtown that require street closures, all of that is handled through Uptown Wadesboro. The displays in the Belt Building, the square displays during Christmas, Christmas with Santa. There are so many different events that are managed by Uptown Wadesboro. We have in the past been responsible for changing out the lights and the banners that you see downtown. All of that was fundraising that Uptown Wadesboro did. We have done many things as far as bringing in grants. The facade grants, what helps make the different buildings look better downtown. If they want to change their awning, if they want to paint their building, they can submit to us, and money that we get in, we then turn around and give them a certain percentage to cover what they had to pay out to keep their buildings, one, to code, painted to meet historic, but also to update their signs or their awnings, which is a huge cost for different businesses. So we do a lot of that. We do more than just the parade and the fireworks.
And I would say without that funding, you will not get any of those things and those events. I don't think it has been funded since last June 30th, I think was the last funding. So this current fiscal year, I don't believe there was any funding from Wadesboro for Uptown Wadesboro. And I think we're seeing the results of that. I think you're seeing less activities in Uptown Wadesboro. I think you're seeing empty buildings in Uptown Wadesboro. So not only do you get the monies here, you've got an experienced volunteer force that works at the direction of the Uptown Wadesboro director. But there has to be that person to spearhead it to get that force to working. Because Tammy has done a lot, but Tammy would admit there's a lot of people that jump in and help as well. So again, I would ask you to consider funding that. I'm not asking you to raise taxes for that. I'll be glad to work with you and find $30,000 in that current budget that you have, that budget proposal that you have to make this expense. So I'm not asking you to raise taxes, it can be found in the monies that you have
That person
already.
is also the town liaison that communicates between Uptown Wadesboro and the town as far as cost that comes back to the town for, say, a float in the parade or for the fireworks, that kind of thing that the town has in previous years supplemented.
And I would sure hate it if we did not have a Christmas parade this year because we don't have an Uptown Wadesboro director or a fall festival, or those things that kids and our citizens really look forward to. One of the things that we heard from the TDA was that we don't have the events to draw people here. We're gonna have less if we don't fund these things. So I would ask you to please consider that in your funding.
The trunk or treat, the 9/11, we gave free space to Uptown Wadesboro. When we moved from the Rev Center, we moved everything over into Anson County Homes and Code so that all the records would be secure from the time that organization was started. And Tammy's right. It's not just an overnight thing to put a Christmas parade together. It's hours and hours and hours.
First event,
We always had trouble with those things. It didn't just come up.
I just want to add that the town has been involved in the North Carolina Main Street Rural Planning Corporation with the state of North Carolina. And with that, what that is that if you adhere to certain requirements, you will, the state will give you a grant and you can fund the Uptown directly. Well, since 2016, the town of Wadesboro has been non-compliant. So they cut the money, but the town of Wadesboro was still funding that position. So it's only $47,000. So I have to disagree with you guys in reference to it's been used properly, it has not. So that's why we're cutting. What we're gonna do is, we have no problem partnering with Uptown Wadesboro, but we wanna make sure that it is definitely efficient, that it's gonna be viable for the citizens, and it has not been, right? So, if you look at $47,000 each year, what have we got for it, right? I certainly understand about the parades and everything, we want that for our citizens, but we can find better ways to utilize those funds, right? $47,000, we had an issue last year with the director, There was some complaints about him and not doing his job, and then even before that, okay, right? So again, 2016 to now, it's been funded until I got it.
It's not, it's about 39,000, I think, and that was one of the first things you and I sat down and talked about was his dysfunction.
Yeah,
And that's one of your first official moves was to sit down and talk with him about that dysfunction because that's what caused the anchor to drop for Uptown Wadesboro. But luckily, volunteers stepped in and took up the slack and made it happen.
Yeah,
It's not 39,000, it's not $49,000. He was being paid $39,000, which I was.
No, sir, it was 47,000. But anyway, what I would say is that, you're right, we did talk about that. But Uptown Wadesboro puts on some very viable events for our town, and we definitely like that, and we want that to continue. However, we have to make sure that our funds are being utilized in a more efficient manner. So again, we're not compliant with the state, so they cut us off. So 2016, they cut us off the program. So at that point, we were not obligated to fund a director, but we still kept doing it. I wasn't here. I don't know how long you guys been on the board. Right, yeah. But so you go back to 2016 until now, we've been funding that position until now. So again, we will definitely look at it. I serve a pledge of the council. Uptown Wadesboro is supposed to be for not just parades and events, it's for to revitalize Uptown, right? Bring in businesses, right? The storefronts, right? I'm applying for a grant, $850,000 for a streetscape. That's what it's for, okay? Right? So when you talk about how the money is used, it hasn't been used properly. So that's why I cut it.
We have talked, we participated in the Downtown Strong, Main Street Strong. We were in the Main Street program for a while, but we did not have a full-time director, I believe. I went on this board in 2017, and I'm currently the chairperson of it. And we put a lot of time, blood, sweat, and tears. You were invited to the meeting, didn't show up last time. We put it out to everyone because we want the town manager there. We had it in Anson County Homes of Vote.
I called twice, sir, and
economic development. So what we can do, or what we are looking into is I spoke with one of our native sons here, Friar Gibson, to put me in touch with who we can talk to at a state level to continue the conversation, to see if we can be helped out another way. And Kenny Flowers, who's head of NC Development, and Liz Parent. So we're already trying to establish a foundation in communication. I still have all my stuff with Downtown Strong and with Salisbury, and make connections there. It's doable, but there are restrictions. They have made it easier for rural towns, and that's what we want to investigate, what kind of funding is out there. That's my 2 cents. The Uptown Wadesboro is for, Mike and I have invested probably $750,000 into 2 buildings. Now, we didn't finance any of that. We didn't finance any of it. Okay, that's cash money that we bought 2 buildings, kept them through good, and did the biggest renovation in Uptown Wadesboro in years. And we waited through that time, and by doing that, the rural, the insurance companies and everything relaxed the codes so that historical downtowns could start using their second floors again. And I had a loud voice in doing that because we were going to cut out our second floor, and they said, no, don't do that, we'll destabilize the building. While waiting and fussing and arguing and lobbying, they decided, yes, you do have a right to use your second floors. Now we've turned them into 2 loft apartments upstairs, and we've got retail downstairs, and we're getting ready to open, I hope, in a couple of months, the Jubilee Coffee Lounge and Emporium. Now that's everything. We're paying cash as we go along with it. That's an investment. We want others to follow suit. That's why we did that. Lee Little is improving his property next door. It's a domino effect, but you got to have somebody behind it, coordinating, unifying it. You know how you do this, Mayor Davis? That's what you got to have uptown, not this. And that's what happened with this former executive director. We were eyewitnesses to it, uphold the business owners uptown. So that's why we didn't need to do it anymore.
understand, but it seemed to me like this been going on for a while. It didn't just start going on.
Pretty much.
It's been going on for a while.
No, it's not. We had those there that did the job.
Well, we're going sideways, so don't go sideways. We're going forward. Thank you, both. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me speak.
Yeah, I want to go forward. Mr. Paul?
All I wanted to say was, I also talked to Mr. Flowers. Also, maybe you know Brian Ellen. And there is funding out there for rural counties like Anson. You're gonna have to invest at some point in a grant writer. Now, I'm not opposed to sitting back and just reevaluate. I'm not opposed to that. But in order for us to get the funding that we need, we've got to have somebody in that position. Like I said, Kenny Fowler and Brian, they're great for that. Matter of fact, Kenny has been assigned another 4 years, been assigned another 4 years. He sent me some information, and because I requested information about grant writers. We are a tier 1 county, and we can get those grants. But you got to pay somebody, right? And if I don't know about the Duke, if that's a viable asset, I'm all for it. Whatever we can do to bring, because I look around the fields, the park, what's Mr. He look at it. This stuff, you don't even have bleachers out there at the stadium. We used to, I used to help coach football and baseball, and it's just.
What you talking about, sir?
The ballpark, Rainsboro ballpark. They used to have.
Silverton that we just.
No. Out there. Airport Road.
That's county.
I'm just making this, I'm just saying.
That's county.
Okay,
That's county.
well, let's say Silverton. Silverton is just overgrown. There's fundings out there, but we're gonna have to have a grant writer. And like I said, I'm not opposed to re-looking at it to see can we find another option, but I did not know about the Duke situation. I don't mind going to that. But Kenny Flowers and Brian did tell me about the grant writer. So I have some knowledge of it, not great knowledge.
There's some, the Anson Collaborative is going to start meeting the last Wednesday of every month, a group of nonprofits to see if we can't get blocks of grants by working together to feed people, to house people. And so we're starting that. What's the last Wednesday of this, 28th or something?
It's 25th, I think.
25th. So there's 25th. To do that, and those, we need voices at the table and ways to house and feed.
That's all I have.
It's Wednesday the 25th.
We're still in public hearing. If anybody want to address anything, you can. On the budget.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let's start with page 31, sanitation, cut from 6 to 4 employees, $126,000 gone. Street department down from 7 to 4, another $102,000 gone. These are the people who take care of our streets, our trash, our public spaces, and this budget leaves them short-staffed, underpaid, and undervalued. Parks and Rec has just one staff member, part-time, which allots $69,000 from the budget from that, which is just 1.14% of the total budget. On page 15, you're pulling $304,000 from the fund balance just to stay afloat. That's not a sustainable solution. That's the start of a fiscal cliff. And instead of pulling back from the edge, you're pushing us closer to it. And while you cut essential services, you somehow found money for a seasonal splash pad, a project that only runs part of the year, where our basic services are running on fumes. Instead of using the savings from these cuts to soften that blow, you're hiring a grant writer, even though the town manager said at the last meeting he was already applying for a grant himself. If he can do the job, why are we paying someone else to pretend he can't? But hey, I guess helping the people wasn't in the plan. And speaking of the last meeting, the town manager accused me of defamation and threatened to sue me. But to be clear, go ahead and file it, and I'm not going anywhere. You don't silence me, only God holds that power, and I fear him.
Sir, this is the budget, and you've gone beyond that, okay? You've gone beyond that, this is only the budget, not what you're saying now, okay?
I'm getting ready to hop back this way.
Well, hop into it right now.
But if he had signed up originally when he came in to speak, why is he being spoken to at the last like this?
This is open to finish, please.
Okay. Only God holds that power, and I fear him and not this council. And let me remind you, going after citizens may boost your egos, but it won't silence us. The First Amendment doesn't just belong to this council, it belongs to people too. And here we are, raise taxes, slash services, sign checks over undocumented broken agreements, and still have everybody I'm just close with this. If this is responsibility, I hate to see what failure looks like.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thanks,
Thank you, sir.
Can I ask just one question? My hearing aids play trick on me. Finance officer, you mentioned that people that was gonna have out of town trash pickup, you had sent out 125 letters.
Well, 200 plus.
Okay, did you say that it would be at a cost of $5 a month to the new citizen?
$25.
We currently charge in the city outside of the.
That's, I just heard the 5. I apologize.
I just want to address something real quick. So, the comments, we are currently recruiting for streets and sanitation. We just hired a sanitation employees, and we're got 2 openings, I think, in streets. So we are definitely going to fill those positions so we can continue to provide essential service for our citizens. And the splash pad. So the splash pad was a grant for $400,000 that when I got here was a year beyond completion. It was a year behind.
But it was a grant.
It was a grant. And then we put $300,000 into it as well. And it's going to be complete in about 2 weeks. So it's supposed to be complete November 2023. It's now June 2025. Way before we got here, this grant was way behind schedule, right? So I don't know who was on council or what happened, but it wasn't this current council who came on when for this budget when the splash pad was initially happened.
ARPA funds in our Mark Brothers got us what, about $300K.
Mark Brothers got us 350, 400, and it came about.
We put ARPA in.
It came about. It was election time 2.5 years ago, and I seen Mr. Brody and his wife, and I said, Mr. Brody, we need something here for our children. And I mentioned the splash pad. Some of the council members was on there. I mentioned the splash pad. His wife managed them all. We got 150,000 one year, and then we got 200,000 next year. So that's how that splash pad, because children needed somewhere to go. Okay, so that's the splash pad. Mr. Did you have something?
Yes, please. So, about the grant writer, Councilman Long's remarks reminded me, when I worked with the county, we had a grant writer that was pro bono because, like he said, in every grant there are administrative fees written in. And that lady did not work for the county. We didn't pay off the space. We didn't pay all the benefits. But her money came from the administrative costs written into the grant. That is a way that you could do it without those costs of administration that we would bear. And going back one more time to the Uptown Waste, where I would say this, please don't let one ineffective employee kill what could be a very successful program. Please don't let this be the day that the Wasteburg Christmas Parade died. I don't think there will be a summer jam this year. I don't think there will be fireworks this year. I was there last year. Many citizens enjoyed that. That's not going to happen this year. And we can point to this budget and say, this is what's not happening unless we turn things around. Thank you.
So it's in reference to the fireworks for that event, our insurance will not allow us to cover that. so that's why we did not participate in that. We definitely want the citizens to have a great time in the event that happens, but insurance purposes kind of tie our hands in reference to that, because it's a lot of it.
I'd like to speak very briefly on one point here. We can sit here and talk about raising all of these funds and grants and so on and so forth. Until we fix the elephant in the room, which is public safety, you can forget bringing in any money into this town. You can forget it, because people don't want to come here. It sounds like 4th of July at my house almost every night.
Where you stay?
You got shooting going, we got a shooting right now as we're standing in this building.
Yeah. Where you stay at,
And
sir? I'm
North Pine Lane, I mean, it's something, North Pine Lane. Supposed to be one of the most quiet neighborhoods in town, but it's not. And until we get public safety underway and help these police officers, we got one police officer, I think, if I'm not incorrect, out on the street right now.
We're gonna do first.
Yeah, we're about to make a left.
Can I speak or I can't
Yeah,
speak?
go ahead, sir, go ahead, sir.
Mr. Green, you are 100% right. I know a lot of people thought that I was crazy for coming back, to come back here.
We need to.
Thank you for
I
being
mean,
raised.
I mean, my family, you know, they thought something wrong with me.
Someone's got to give.
But when the Lord touch your heart, because we need unity back in this town.
Yes.
Mr. Green's right. One officer out there now with the assistant deputies. I don't know how we're gonna do it. The only thing I know is, God said, I need for you to bring unity back here. And I knew these three men here, now, they gave me a hard time as a chief, but they gave it to me in the sense that they wanted what was best for this town.
Amen.
I mean, Mr. Evans, beautification. Mr. Ballard would tell me when I was on my horse, get off of it. Barbara Ursh wanted to make sure every penny I spent would have been right. But I didn't go back to my officers and complain. I went back to them because I needed them to take care of this community. I needed them to take care of this community because it's not fair. My mother-in-law, 84 years old. It's not fair to her. It's not fair to Mr. Dutton living on the end of Marvin Road. It's not fair for you to have to sit there and the crime and stuff that's going on. Because it was crime during Genesis. We all know that. But we need law enforcement.
Amen.
And the only thing I can say is y'all pray.
Amen.
You all have a tough job. Every one of you. Lord knows you do. And you have to make decisions. And you can't just make decisions on the people that voted for you. You got to make decisions on the people that didn't vote for you.
Say it louder.
And I'm trying. I don't know how, but the only thing I can tell you is going to be the blessing of the Lord. June the 6th, in front of the police department, we having prayer for the local pastors. But it is hard. But we got to have unity. I'm hearing about the grant writer. The county had a grant writer. What was her name, Chief?
Mary Beth.
Mary Beth.
Legendary.
I used to go to Mary Beth when I needed something, she would help me. So I feel like we can get back together with loving each other, getting together with the county, because right now we're separate. We're fighting. And that's why I didn't get up here for this one. I didn't, but I just want you to know I'm going to do everything in my power to get some officers. I reached out already to about 4 or 5 of them that were willing to come here. A miracle happened for me the first day. I said, Lord, are you sure you want me to do this? I mean, because I gave half of my life. 64 years old, I gave half of my life to this town. And then to see in a year and a half the struggle that we're going through. And I'm not pointing my finger at nobody. I'm not pointing my finger at nobody. But you got to care about this community. Maybe that's my problem. I care about it too much. People told me my heart was too big to be cheap from the beginning. I had African Americans, white, all colors go against me a few times. I know they did. But I knew at the end, when I went home and laid my head down, I made a good decision.
Yes, yes.
So please forgive me for talking out of turn. I just want everybody to know that, you know, I promise you, Mr. Green, I'm gonna do everything I can. And I'm trying.
Well, Mr. Skirtle, all I can say is one or two officers per shift ain't enough.
No, sir, you're right. Me and
It
Mr.
ain't
Ross,
gonna cut it.
me and Mr. Ross already done talked about that. And I'm not gonna say me and Mr. Ross gonna agree with everything, but we're gonna work hard together to try to figure this out, cause it ain't just about Mr. Ross. It's not just about the council, it's about my community.
Yes,
Okay. And I'm asking them with all their help to support me, to be there for me, and let's get this stuff together.
yes.
But we can. Lord knows we can do it.
Yes.
I know you care about this community. You probably know every pothole it is in Waysboro. And I know you care about this. I know you do. And that's what we all need to do. It was a sad thing about the K9 police. I know it was. And it went viral. But it was a sad thing about the little girl with her father with mental health issues killed his child, and we didn't talk about that. I'm finna sit down. I appreciate it. But y'all, you just made me stronger. That's what you did.
Yeah.
Because I knew you cared about this town. I know you did. I know you did, and I know you all do too. So let's just work together. Miss Bates, you have always been there for me, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We need a motion.
Motion to go out of public hearing.
Yes. All in favor? We're out of public hearing. Ms. Kine. Down to old business now. Consider approval for professional service contract with Chambers Engineer for streetscape grant not to exceed 10.
Mayor and member council, this is the $850,000 grant that we are going to be submitting. This is part of the scope of service that we have to do beforehand before we are able to get the grant. And Mr. Chambers has done a good job with the town of Norwood for the same type of service and the same grant.
Number 4.
We've got to pay it out, or the grant's gonna cover the 10%.
We have to pay it out. This is part of the 5% matching of $850,000. That would be included in that.
Need a motion.
That's what it's 10,000.
And it will come out of contracted services, which right now we have, we're budgeted, I think, 188 for next year. Right now, we're at $47,000 in contracted services.
And this is to what, redesign the streets uptown?
This is for the redesign of the streetscape. This is part of the budget process and requirements, which the state requires. So you have to have an architect design where you want to do the streetscape and sidewalks. That's all entailed in your packet there, and all the type of service we will be rendering. You see,
Yeah.
I like to make a motion. We need to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Number 2, consider approval of contracted service for S&S Electric Company to complete electrical work for the town hall.
Mayor and member council, this is a electrical contract. The electrical, the building, the town hall, the electric is very, very bad. It outlets blink, they don't work, lights blinking on and off. It is absolutely something that needs to be addressed immediately. The town hall.
Make a motion to have those repairs done. That place is a nightmare.
All in favor?
Aye.
Consider approval for Southern Software for utility building interface diamond maps for work service orders for public work department.
Yes, sir. So FMS is our financial software that we use. We are partnering with Diamond Maps to have a work order system where we can work more efficiently and send our employees out to fix water main breaks and sewer backups. And we also can work more efficiently in terms of where our employees are doing, what they're doing, and evaluate their work, right? So this is the way to do that. But every time we partner with FMS, of course, they charge us. That's what this is.
We got the tap. Who James, he's one of the problem. First one, is that right?
No, sir, I did.
We discussed it.
We just got here.
I like the motion. All in favor? Aye. Consider approval for contracted service with Clean Harbor for removal of hazardous material.
When I got here, I had our Public Works department pretty much do overhaul of the town shop. The town shop was an absolute disgrace, right? It was horrible, deplorable, right? For years, it's been like that. And what they did was they found some hazardous materials that's been there for us since 2014. Since 2014, think about that, right? When we found it, we shut it down. We didn't want any employees to go near it, and we immediately tried to figure out what it would cost to get it removed. So when we had the old water plant, these materials were there. Never moved, never stirred, it was hazardous. So we got 2 bids, actually 3 bids, right? It's got 3 bids. And it's expensive to get it removed. It's dangerous. So when you talk about oversight, folks, when you talk about being fiscally responsible, this is what this looks like, right? Taking action, doing the right thing. And that's what we're doing. So the bottom line is, this has to be done. It's dangerous and needs to be removed. We had so many, under the Public Works umbrella, we had so many departments, so I broke that up. And I kind of went to my fire chief, and he helped me out. And he's over Rex, he's also over fleet and facilities. And they found this, doing their job, right? And so we have to get this stuff removed, because it's dangerous, it's hazardous.
What is the cost?
$25,000 or more. I think, all right, Scott, 26,000?
25,000.
25,600 something. Yeah. It will come out of our water fund, with there's funds available there. But it needs to be removed.
Need a motion.
Motion.
All in favor? Down to new business.
You okay? Yes. Yeah.
Consider approval of resolution for rezoning request for property on West Wall Street and Harley Street from R20 to R6.
Yeah, that was the builder with Mr. Connor there. They want to rezone from R20 to R6.
I make a motion that we rezone the property on West Wall Street and Harley Street from R20 to R6.
I second.
Before y'all do that motion, it's West Street, not West Wall, that's the type of.
It's West Street.
West Wall was 2 miles away.
Yeah, no problem.
On West Street.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Next is consider approval of contracted service for a new town attorney. Mr. Bates is retiring, he's gonna spend more time with his family, and it's understood. It's understood. He got young and don't grow up for long.
Already. Thank y'all for everything. I've really enjoyed working with this the last few years. This is bittersweet for me tonight for sure. But I'll always be here in there for.
Need a motion?
Make a motion.
That's that.
All in favor?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
I want to say a couple things about Aaron. Aaron, when I got here, I immediately started blowing Aaron's phone up. Late at night, and early in the morning. He's been a great help to the town. We appreciate you, your hard work here. And just thank you and enjoy your family.
Thank you.
Number C, consider approval for contracted service with what is that, Onyx?
It's, only speaking.
Only,
That's
only,
what-
only, it,
Yeah, that's what.
That's not a typo.
That's not a typo. That's not a typo.
speaking public relations.
Yeah, so Mayor and members of council, this is a 3-month contract with a firm to do our, communications for the town. Every municipality has a PIO, and this is also part of the strategic plan, that we're gonna be putting in place, coming up in the coming year, but it's definitely needed for communicating purposes. Again, every municipality, every town, every city, they have one. And we can't afford to hire a full-time one. It's a 3-month contract. You know, it's not, you know, we renew it, if we want to, if not, we don't have to. But this is something that on a very temporary basis.
Need a motion?
It's how much a month? $1,750?
Yeah, the bid for 5,000, actually, that's very cheap. There's some up to like $10,000.
How many RFPs, how many responses do we get to an RFP for this?
I'm sorry?
How many responses do we get to for an RFP? Do we
No.
go out and actually seek bids for this?
This is for professional services. You don't need an RFP for this.
How many people did you ask?
I put it out and we had 2 bids that you see in your packet. And the one was 5,000 and the lowest one was 1,750.
That's,
Again, every town, every municipality has a PIO for communicating purposes, right?
Need a motion?
I make the motion to approve.
Need a second? Who seconded? We need a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
no.
4-1. Consider approval for contracted service for IT service. Is that Mr. McCall?
That's correct.
He's good.
Yes, yes.
He's good.
So, we had a contracted individual, Mr. Carpenter, was doing our IT for us, and he is now devoting his time to full-time ministry. And so he is no longer able to do the IT services for us. So we contract with one contract with Mr. McCoy, it's a council so approves.
I made a motion to contract for IT with Mr. Wayne.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Consider approval for contracted service with Frost Interior Restoration for diesel tank, pressure washing, painting, the town shop, break room and restrooms.
So this is the diesel tank out at the town shop that needs to be pressure washed and remove rust, and loose paint, and just as you see there, that's the cost of it. Yep, go ahead.
We're cleaning up the shop down there?
Absolutely.
Painting the restrooms?
Yeah, absolutely, yes, sir, absolutely.
What's the cost to it? Is in there
$4,500 to clean that diesel tank, and then the other one was to paint the restrooms and the locker rooms and break rooms and sanitize the place, and as you see there, it's $3,500. And this is all coming out of contracted service.
Second.
Who?
Mr. Long.
Mr. Long. All in favor?
Okay.
Okay. Consider approval for amendment to the personnel policy, Article 11, Section 4.
Yes, Mayor and members of council, we're adding in section 4 to include the police bonuses. We're gonna be redoing all of our personnel policies. This is the first part of that, starting that process. We hired a company to overhaul all of our policies. Have not been revised since 1996. Let me say that again. All of our personnel policies have been in place since 1996.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Down the town staff report, Mr. Chief.
Fair Council, the only thing I've got to bring to your attention tonight is summer camp is next week. We'll start bright and early Monday morning at 9 a.m. here at the fire department in this very room. So this is one time of the year we get to keep you guys out for your council meetings, and we'll have this room filled with 25 kids. And Ms. Bennett, I know you were here last year, Mr. Davis, Mr. Snug, y'all come by, you seen how much fun it was and what it meant to the kids, so we appreciate it for you guys supporting it and letting us continue to do that. Also this week, we're going to participate in smoke alarm canvassing initiative here in Waynesboro. I spoke on it last month at the last council meeting. We're going to hit that stuff this week. I think we're going to try and start Thursday, canvassing the neighborhood and going from there. I don't have an exact time, but I'll get back to you.
You know where you're gonna start?
Somewhere around Ballard and Lodge. Maple Lane, somewhere right around in there.
Okay.
Mr. Gates.
That's all I've got. Thank you.
Mr. Gates,
Hold on. The smoke alarm. The only other thing I was gonna give you an update on the splash pad, Mr. Ross ended on it. He did, drop that on me, to take care of it, facilitate it. So I reached out to our contractor, today. They're planning to be here middle of the week to finish the beautification of that area. Right now it's raw dirt. They're gonna get some grass put down for us. And hopefully to be here first of the week to start it up, to make sure that everything is squared away like it's supposed to be, running effectively and efficiently, and then hoping that following Friday to be able to open it. Tentatively what the idea is, that can change, just depending on if we're running into any issues, or Mother Nature decides to drop another monsoon on us. We've had a lot of rain here the last week, so that's just a little update on the splash pad. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Public Service Director.
Let me say before Nick comes up, so we put out a job posting for the public service director, and it's a specialized field, so you gotta have certain certifications, and we had someone right in our back door, and he was able to, he applied for the position, we interviewed, he's well qualified, and I can tell you he's been doing a great job thus far, so I appreciate it. So Nick's been with the fire department for how long?
Nick's been an employee for the town of Waysboro for how long, Nick? 12 years. He stepped away from the public utility side of things and come over to the fire department, and now he's back on the public utility side.
Yes, so we're still back,
Good evening, everyone. I've told several people in the last week or so, coming into this position, I grew up in the area of Bell Curve, it's the only way I got out of high school. Coming into this position was more like a vertical takeoff. There's a lot to do, there's a lot to learn. I followed a gentleman who was very tenured, who was very good at his job, and I've got to try to come behind that. My first week here has mostly been meetings and studying. Was able to finish my CPO certificate for the splash pad. No one thing you don't really think about, but that requires a license. We have been in extensive meetings for the last week and a half for our water CIP, which is capital improvement plan, trying to focus on where our worst trouble is, where our water systems. Between Mr. James, before he left, our water department superintendent, Chuck Polson, and our engineering firm, we pointed out where some of our worst problems was, what we want to focus on. Some of it's going to be regulated in, and the CIP plans go along. Look at 1 year, look at 5 years, look at 10, 15, and so forth. The cool part about CIP is if you recognize a bigger problem, there's nothing wrong with moving those projects around as long as there's funding for them. Another big thing I come on into this was the east side sewer project, biggest portion of it starting on Highway 74, east of Lee Avenue, and then continue from there all the way down to 52 South, just prior to Old Lawson Road. We're in the hard part of that, from my standpoint, because dealing with all the legalities, we have to get an easement from people. That tends to be a challenge. In my past position as sewer superintendent, we dealt with that a lot on the project we done, we called the Burn Street I&I project. It actually ended up more on Highway 742, which is the road, as some citizens know it. Legalities of gaining those easements are sometimes challenging. Once we get that passed, dirt work tends to roll pretty smoothly. We're also in the middle of working on a stormwater grant, engineering firm we use hopefully really get started on that once it dries up. Obviously, you can't do a whole lot of investigation to stormwater system when it's full of water from 4 inches of rain we've had in the last. A couple things been asked, people have questions. We're dealing with some serious staffing shortages at Public Works. We're working on trying to remedy that. I know we did hire a lady on sanitation. They've got applications for the street department and for the water department. Working on trying to get that staffing back to the levels where we can maybe do more, be more efficient, like that.
And a lot of these openings are due to retirement. Right? So, which every municipality, every city, every town has that. It's called post-retirement.
Anybody got a question? We'll save you for down the road. You're still on the honeymoon. Thank you, Ned.
Yes, sir.
Hi again.
The bell curve, that was good. I remember that looking at exams and all that, looking at bell curve, see if they're gonna make it over.
Okay, so in your packet, as usual, you have your detailed line-by-line budget versus actuals and 3-page summary. This is for April, as of April 30th. As of April 30th, we were 83.3% through the fiscal year. And for revenue, we collected 71.7%, which was $4.6 million. So we were under budget on revenue. Compared to the 73.3% from the previous year, which did include the $1.5 million that was transferred from the ARPA funds. For expenditures, we are at 77.
Can I interject real quick?
Who said that?
I did.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's through your voice.
The $1.5 million funds
Yes, sir.
was interjected into this budget in terms of if it had not happened, this town would have went under. They make that very clear. If the funds were, if Mr. Steve Harrell and Kai Nelson came into town January 2024, when they came here, they immediately saw this was an emergency. That this town financially was going to go under. All the crowd is left now. Let's make this very clear. So what they did was, they used those funds as revenue replacement. If they had not done that, the deficit that we are looking at right now would have been a lot more. And the state came in and controlled this town. So let's understand the past practices of what has happened in this town as relates to administration, as relates to being fiscally responsible, right? Let's make sure that we understand what has happened. And so here we are, actually not in a bad space, okay? And so I just want to make that clear to the citizens that we are definitely doing what we can to soften the blow on the resident. But years of past practices, this is what you're going to get, right? Right. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. So as far as expenditures go, we are 77% through the budget, 4.9 million. Which is great. We're under budget. However, with also being under budget in revenue, expenses are still exceeding revenue. But despite that improvement, it is $339,000 deficit. But again, it would have been a $1.26 million deficit compared to last year. So, last year, I'm sorry, this year, we're at a $339,000 deficit. This same time last year, had they not done that, they would have been at a $1.26 million.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Get off the line there. Look at the alders.
I'm sorry, that's on it, that's on it.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, it was $339,000, the money was in the wrong account, right? How did the audit pick that up?
The wrong account?
It was in the wrong place.
What, the 1.5?
Yeah.
No, sir, it was ARPA money.
Yeah, ARPA money.
It was in a special project fund, so, excuse me?
Go ahead.
So it was in a special, I mean, I wasn't here, so I'm just taking the knowledge that I have learned. So it was ARPA money that we were given by the federal government, and it was just sitting there for a year and a half.
It was getting ready to.
COVID.
Yeah, it was getting ready to.
And they did nothing with it.
Right, we were getting ready to lose it.
Right, we were getting ready to lose it.
Mr. Hurricane, we didn't know anything about it.
Well,
He found it from.
I think Mr. Long is partially correct.
Yes.
It was not being utilized in the appropriate fund, right?
Exactly.
And so, yeah.
It had to be in a special fund
It did.
to stay identified. So, I mean, the fact that it was in a special fund and still listed is mind-boggling. But once they found it, they were allowed to do revenue, yes.
Yes.
Listen, I was here when it came, when the money, we had talked about it, but we didn't get it done. And so when Mr. Harold came in and told us, we said, we need to move it on because it was ready for replacement. We were using it for replacement. And we didn't get it done, it was on there, but we didn't get it done. But when Mr. Harold came in, we got it done. So we knew it was, we knew we had 1.5 because I would ask every time how much money we got. Am I correct? Every time, how much money? I wanted to take ARPA, and we used it some with our people. We could do that then, and so that, we knew that we had to do it, so I'm glad we done it, so.
That's how we based the decision on the fire truck.
So the water sewer fund, we are 85.7% collected in our revenue, which is over budget, so that's a good thing. Expenditures are way under budget. Revenue is exceeding expenditures by over $3 million. We have a total of $8.4 million in investments, which is $762,000 more than last year at this time. So expectations, fingers crossed, that we will continue to grow those investments due to higher interest rates and continuing the policy of investing idle funds.
And when we got here, we talked about fiscal responsibility, we had investments that's sitting there idle, not giving interest.
Yeah, we've had almost $5 million sitting in the checking account. So any questions?
Just want to ask you one, the new requisition policy you have.
Yes, sir.
What kind of measures are we using to see, is that saving money? Does that delay repairs or anything, when somebody has to go out and get 2 different quotes? Or anything like that? Is that in chasing down 3 different signatures for how much money?
Well, we're all in the same building, so that's not a reach.
But maybe sometimes you're not always there. Could that be handled through this electronic?
Well, okay, so I think I discussed this last month, I could be wrong, but we're still in the working process of that. We are planning on doing the requisitions and generating POs electronically in FMS, and we are planning on starting that July 1. We still have a problem with the fact that the people out in the field do not What is it?
So basically, the biggest issue that we've got outlined is our IT staff, that was, Mr. Carpenter, was doing his IT work, trying to make it to where we can connect to town hall. We still cannot connect to town hall so that we can do those POs. So until we can, get Mr. Dwayne, McCoy over here, we won't be able to do that. I don't know what the process is. That's been an ongoing battle for several years now, trying to make that happen. There's a lot of financial costs and equipment and stuff to make it happen, and that's what we're working through, trying to do it, as cheaply and responsibly as possible.
Yeah, the infrastructure at Town Hall is a disaster. So we're trying to do that. And then also add to that, the fact that the system that we use, which is called FMS, is not compatible to a lot of systems. So you have to pay that for iteration, and it's a lot that comes with that. So, Mr. Long is absolutely correct. It'd be a lot easier if we could do that electronically. It would.
Well, I also wanna point out, because you mentioned time and all of that. So, my understanding, what I've been told at conferences, it is, required that we do it electronically, even though we're not doing it electronically. We are required to have an encumbrance system. Now, you can do it by paper. I'm not doing it by paper. So we're gonna do it electronically.
I do the same thing. So, right now, while we're doing it by paper, right?
We are not, because I didn't even know that was an option, because I've always worked electronically. We don't, we keep a good amount in the budget, in, excess. So if I see something come in that's a little bit more, then I'm looking at what's outstanding. But as of July 1, we still have to work it out. After council meetings, Wiley calls a staff meeting. So that's gonna be something that's gonna be on my agenda to talk to the directors about. That in the interim, we are just gonna have to have, Ashley and Monica and myself all chip in for the guys. Maybe we'll each share a department, and we're just gonna have to key in their purchase orders until we get it straightened out. As far as administration, that's easy because we're in the building, so we have access to that.
What is the backup personnel for, like, when if you're out sick, as an emergency, on vacation?
When I'm on vacation, Ashley is my backup, and Wiley has authorized her to sign, but then it immediately goes to him. So if Ashley, for some reason, say called in sick and I was on vacation, well, he's the ultimate authority on purchasing anyway, so if my signature is missing, he has a copy, an update, a current copy of the budget, so he checks it before he signs anyway.
And when Mr. Ross is not there, who has the?
He delegates, who he wants to be in charge.
But that's
Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's, Scott.
Okay. But there's never a double delegation. The same person signing the same signature twice.
No.
No.
Okay.
I don't think that's
And
necessary. I mean, I'm basically on there, so Wiley is assured that the budget has been checked by a finance person.
Okay. Like a line item is going where it's supposed to go.
Right.
And the reason that this is going on too, we have to understand that when we got here, I think one month we spent like $47,000 on Amazon purchases, right? Everybody had their own Amazon account and just spent it, slightly, right? Just slightly. What we stop at? With this absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can tell I've been gone a while. I'm behind the finance person. That's not gonna happen again, is it?
No. So usually, what he's talking about, in government, there's a pecking order, right? It's usually police, fire, and everybody else.
I don't understand thing.
Sir, you're right, sir, you're absolutely right. I'll fix that.
First of all, I want to apologize to go with emotionally getting up earlier, but, you know, I just felt like I needed to get that. I thank y'all for that. Like I said, you know, this is a blessing that I've been feeling in my heart that I got to do, but at the same time, I have been working with Mr. Ross on several things. We got about 4 people that we are in the process of hiring. One of the guys is the captain from the Richmond County Sheriff's Office. He's coming in. Actually, he's coming in as full-time.
Yes.
And we got 2 other full-time people that we're bringing in, and I'm going to be upfront with the board, and because I know, and I don't want to say this in a negative way, but that, you know, I don't think that I start trying to do that they feel like I'm going to bring negativity to the town, because that's not my purpose. You know, it is talk that, well, it's not talk. Gerald Cannon is coming back. But Gerald Cannon is coming back to help us on the road. And Sergeant Cannon, as I've been knowing him for 20 or 30 years, he's got a good rapport with the public. And we got to make a connection with the public. We got to make a connection with the public. It's not coming back with the stuff that done happened in the past, because you know, one of the things I felt in my heart about bringing unity back here is that I'm not going to sit there and point fingers at what I said. I'm not going to look at what done happened in the past. My job is to go forward. And myself and Sergeant Cannon have had that talk. I have met with the sheriff and the Chief Deputy Robert Mims. At the point now, they helping us. But it's costing the town. I mean, I'm being up front with you. It's costing the town for this to happen. But that's the only way we're going to be able to make it. Goal is to make sure we can get some good people in. As I said, Major Tim Watkins, asset to the sheriff department, one of the best investigators I know. May hear different talk from other people, but I know Tim Watkins. And Tim Watkins is an asset to Morgan. He was an asset, in my opinion, to the sheriff department. He worked a lot of cases. And as you heard Mr. Green spoke earlier, you know, Sergeant Nolan is working she's working around the clock. She's got to have the best interest of Wadsworth in her heart. And that's what we need to find. When we can find them type of people that will invest into the town. One of the things I used to talk to the council about, you know, we do not want to become a training ground for law enforcement. You know, we get them, we train them, we sit there and send them through all this training. And if we didn't, and then after a while, they go next door neighbor. They can go get somewhere else here to make better money. So, Mr. Green's right again on his safety. You want safety in this community, because it's not going to get any better. I promise you that. I was in Oak Hill tonight after this situation happened. Yes, someone got called out already. And I was there. And it took me a while to walk to that scene, because it brought back so many memories. But it was sad to hear a lot of people come up to me and say, by my first name, because I invested, this is my time. Daddies, we don't see the police. Daddies, they don't patrol. Daddies, we got a curfew, and they're not enforcing. Now, I don't know, and I'm not going to blame the past officers, because, and I'm telling you, Wadsworth has some good officers. I mean, even the ADA contacted me, just thrilled to death that I was coming back. I think the problem became when we start hiring young officers and things start going on, and we didn't give them trained like they need to be trained. They need to be trained. So I'm not blaming nobody in the past. Because like I said, this is for me to move forward, because I know and work with some good guys. And we care about this community, and that we got to get it back. And I appreciate every one of them. I think someone made a comment that I was good because I had a good support system. I'm going to tell you now, my support system came from the Lord and my family. But I did have some good support system. I did have some good officers in the page. But at the same time, I had the late Sheriff Clemens. I had retired Chief Brian Eden. As a fact, coming back to Wadsworth to help do free training on his time, not charging the town a dime. He's coming back just for training. And that means a lot. The chief that's in Monroe right now, Chief Rick Bowden, assured me because H got out about our bring Cannon back, and we couldn't get him certified by his weapon. Not blaming anybody again, but I called Rick Bowden, and Rick Bowden said, Chief, anything you need is for you. So yes, I feel like God put me in this position for a reason, to come back and bring unity back in our town. And I know Sergeant Cannon, Major Watkins, Chief Sugars will bring some experience, some loyalty, and dedication to get us back where we need to be. And the other female is the female that knows the gentleman that we bring. He's common source. Yeah, and then we got females in rookie school that started knowing checked with the other day. They see that she won't be being able to come out. And I have made contact with the directors for all the schools. I'm an instructor myself. So I've made contact with the two directors, Richmond County and South Piedmont. So keep praying for me, and we'll continue to do what we need to do. Thank you. Thank you.
First and foremost, I want to express my deepest condolences to the family and loved ones of Shanika Smith, a mother whose life was senseless taken while protecting her child on May 28th. Her courage and love in that moment reflected the very best of humanity, even in the face of unimaginable violence. I want to thank law enforcement for their swift actions in apprehending the suspect. Williamsburg Police Department was assisted by the Anson County Sheriff's Office, the Chesterfield County Sheriff's Office, and the state SBI. Let this be a moment that unites us, not divides us. A tragedy like this calls on us not only to grieve, but to support one another to demand a safer Williamsburg for everyone. Caring should never be selective. A compassion is not a limited resource. As your town manager, I am committed to working alongside law enforcement, faith leaders, community organizations, and residents to address the root causes of violence and build a community where life is honored and protected. What does that mean? That means that we have to not just rely on the police. We have to go out and get the community involved. In other big cities, I did it in Cincinnati. We had ceasefire in Cincinnati. A lot more violence than here, bigger cities. But it took the community to get involved, to take a stake in it, to stop the violence, right? Put the guns down. It is vital that we move away from bickering and move toward uniting our community so that everyone feels valued and safe. Let me touch a little bit on the proposed tax increase. We understand that this is the first tax increase in almost 25 years. Think about that. Haven't had one here in a long time. And we recognize the significance of the decision. It reflects our commitment to fiscal responsibility and careful stewardship of taxpayer dollars over a long period. We are proud to have maintained one of the most affordable tax rates in the region for more than 2 decades. No tax increase. The proposed adjustment reflects a careful and necessary step to ensure we can continue delivering the services our community depends on and without compromising core essential services. When our tax rate adjustment was made, gas was barely $1 back then, right? Now it's $3.50 a gallon. You could buy a police cruiser for $25,000, right? 25 years ago. Now it's almost $80,000, right? Costs have gone up. And so the town has to also adjust those costs. Meanwhile, we've kept the tax rate steady for 25 years. Just as families have felt the pressure of rising costs, the town has too. For a home valued at $100,000, our proposed increase equates to $60 annually, or $1.15 per week. I realize change is not always welcome, but it's necessary. It's the one thing that is constant in the world today. If we're not changing, we're not growing. The part of leadership is making decisions that aren't always popular, but are necessary. And with that, I'll yield to the mayor.
This time, council comments, we'll start down there. Ms. Casey, you have any?
I thank everybody for coming out to our council meeting. And to answer your question, Mr. Ursula, I truly believe in safety for the community. ask him the same question, but it looked like he got up and answered it before I can address the issue. I believe in the brighter future for our community, and I'm gonna answer it all the way. So anything that I can do across the board, I'm willing to stand up and do what I got to do to make this a better, safe community, for not only you, but for all of us.
Ms. Betty?
Thank y'all for coming too. And I'm glad that Chief Spencer decided to come back to work with us to try to get things in order. And I also think that, as a board, we should let him handle the police department. We handle the other stuff that needs to be done in the county. Thank y'all so much.
That's the norm.
Mr. Bates, is this the time that you, in this public censure letter, if you disagree with the censorship, you're more than welcome to address it at the next scheduled meeting. The censorship was done on the 5th of May, and I got this letter on the 27th. Is this the time that I did that?
That's correct, Mr.
So I do want to read into the record some of my comments and observations about that censure. And I want to begin by addressing it by reading into the record this document, which I will share with you, Debbie, to file the minutes of this meeting. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of God's nature entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall say most likely to affect their safety and happiness. That, my friends, comes from the Declaration of Independence. If some of us haven't been in our civics classes lately, and I stand on my platform of free speech, First Amendment. When I see something, I'm going to call it out. I was elected to sit in this seat to represent the citizens and listen. We've come to the end of the road, in my opinion, to a situation that has plagued our town for a year now. I've shared my opinions of the present direction of our beloved little community under its current leadership. That is my right to free speech. I do not speak ex cathedra for the town of Wadesboro or this council. When I talk with the news media, and this is media, this is social media here, I share my opinions and I answer questions drawing from my own experiences and observations. I have heard from our constituency. I have talked with town employees, current and past, and I am allowed to do that. I am allowed to interact with town employees pursuant to Section 1, Powers and Duties of Local Government Manager, subsection B. The last two sentences, and this comes from the town manager's current contract. However, this will not preclude a council member from communicating with an employee with respect to getting information that will be or has been brought before the council. Neither does it preclude an employee from discussing with a council member a grievance with the manager that has not been handled to his or her satisfaction or in a professional, courteous, and respectful manner. My censure is based mostly on my personal opinions, I believe, warranted and protected by free speech and representing the people that put me in this seat. I have heard accounts of how department heads have been addressed in meetings, talked to disrespectfully, and I have heard business owners and county entities, and yes, even I have experienced disrespect from our town manager. In one of our post meetings from uptown Wadesboro, I had a good conversation with him about we needed a new town hall. I said, I like the direction, I like the idea. I want you to be successful. I also relayed that very same sentiment in his former office in the town hall. On a certain morning, just after a few days after the job, I got calls. I got visits from people saying, this is not working. The town manager is not being respectful to us, and we're getting ready to walk out. And I said to them, don't do that. Don't do that. Let me go and talk with Mr. Ross, which I did. I went over and I talked to Mr. Ross, and I said, I want you to be successful. I don't want your first crisis to be your last. In turn, those words were twisted into town employees being told that I came in and told him that they were trying to get him fired from his job, which was not the truth. Since then, we have seen our police force torn apart not once, but twice. I've made several public information requests February 6th of this year, after I had been consistently and openly bullied in closed sessions for my comments, even to the point of an affectionate name that I call people I have all my life, either sister or brother. And when I brought that to your point, you did apologize, and I appreciate that, Mr. Town Manager. But to this date, the town attorney has received for his perusal and clearance none of these records that I have asked for in public information, even though the town manager told me in a conversation about 5 weeks ago at my office that he was going to have that pulled off the server. To date, nothing. No communications, no updates, no nothing. Now this is in direct contempt, I believe, of Section 1, subsection C, Article 11 of the same contract that I have referenced, that says, investigate the affairs of the town or any department or division thereof. Investigate all complaints in relation to matters concerning the administration of the government of the town and in regard to service maintained by public utilities in the town, and to see that all franchises, permits, and privileges granted by the town are faithfully observed. And I think my requests fall under that item, especially, but not only as an elected official, who is working on behalf of my constituency to bring truth and relief to chaos, resentment, and disorder, disunity. It's not this, it's this. We need to breathe. We need a new direction, like Chief Spencer said. We need new leadership in town hall. Our police department is in tatters. Morale in this town and in the employment of the town is in tatters. Chief Spencer has his work cut out for him, and he doesn't need any interference or micromanaging while he works to rebuild trust, reputation, and the safety of Wadesboro. You said it, didn't you? Let him run it, and we run everything else. How much have we paid in sign-on bonuses to officers who were hired and then left because of toxic work conditions? How much have we paid? Enough is enough. Every member of this board has witnessed it and heard it. You've had to have heard the disgruntlement, and we have the power to change things and take a new direction. I can sit here and say, I made a mistake when I voted yes to hire Mr. Ross. Again, Mr. Davis, Mayor Davis, when you put your hands together and fingers together in a gesture of unity, you did it when you talked about the splash pad. You said we need something for the children sitting right in this room in budget talks. I recall that. But those fingers are being pulled apart at the elbows and twisted at the wrists. This is not our town. This is not Wadesboro. This is not Anson. This is not the town I fell in love with and so deeply invested in. When I ride by town hall, I always beat my horn. And you know why? It's sort of like a protest when I see the town manager's car parked in a no parking zone at town hall. It's disrespectful to the rest of the constituency that rides by there and observes that. Now the council here tonight has the power to turn the corner. Now I may not be allowed or may or not be able to allow to make this suggestion or motion, but I will be let it known that I'm willing to release the town manager from his position with the town of Wadesboro to allow him to be successful elsewhere, because it's just not happening here with our constituency, the morals of the community, the morale of the community, and the mentality. If you don't exercise this responsibility to serve our neighbors, think about it. We do deserve better. And I strongly urge every person that is registered to vote, and even those we have not registered to vote yet, to vote in November. I have chosen not to run again in November, and I made that decision a while back. I think one term serves the purpose a lot of times. There are brilliant younger minds ready to step in and steer us to better times and brighter days. Diapers and politicians need to be changed often for the very same reason. I stand by my right of free speech, and I have no hidden agenda. My agenda is clear: to live up to the expectations of those who elected me, pay my property taxes — you won't find any unpaid tax records in mine or Mike's name — and to protect everyone's right to life, liberty, safety, the pursuit of happiness, and success. Until we change our administration in Town Hall, I see no change for our community. I've never seen this town as divided as it is now. I appeal to your sense and sensibility, fellow council members, to take my words to heart, release our current town manager, appoint an interim administrator from the municipality, Scott Rivers, Hugh James, someone who knows this town, and ask for leave for a new interim manager, excluding the prior interim manager for consideration. I'm framing my censure. To me, it's a badge of honor that tells me I have my fingers on the pulse and I'm doing the right thing. I'm listening to the citizens and I'm calling it out and I'm responding. It's called holy disruption. And I will continue to fight for a safer, more progressive, and kind community until we achieve peace in the valley. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Austin.
Chief Counsel, he has his work cut out for him. I talked to Marshall Ray. And Marshall Ray said pretty much similar to what everybody been saying every day. You got to get on one cord. There are many ways to travel to shopping. He said, but the quickest and easiest way is for me and you, Lawrence, to go out here and get on 74 and go west. But we gotta be in agreement. We've heard the people, we've heard this board, we've heard administration. It's been an ongoing situation. It didn't start out like this. It's been ongoing. I've heard, I can tell you I heard rumors. I can't say I know of anything truthful. We have got to get on the same page. We've got to put this back and forth. And we've got to come together. On your censorship, I think that we, the council, should resolve a lot of the issues. I don't have no problem with you having a free speech. Anybody should do it. But we got to, to me, it was causing a little uproar in the community. I don't really do a lot of Facebook, but it's a app for people to express their feelings. And the reason I say that because I didn't want to know nothing else. I wanted us to do everything in-house. And if me doing that offended you, I apologize for that. But the reason I did it was hopefully we could all, in this room, not the family and the council come together and resolve it. So continue to pray for us as we move forward and continue to believe in yourself as well as council. And you have a voice in November if we're not doing what you need us to do. I'm not equipped. I've thought several times about not doing this, but I am not equipped. I'm gonna see it out to the end. And if you want me here, then you vote me. If you want me not to be here, don't vote me. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna be true with you, and I'm gonna do what's best. Now, don't get that wrong. We're subject to make mistakes. There's one thing when I go rob a bank, I know that's a mistake. I know it's wrong, but then I go back and do it again. But then when I make a mistake, an honest mistake, then I need to have an opportunity to rectify it. I need to do that myself. So I ask you to continue to pray and let's stay focused and let's get this town back. And Chief Smith's got support. He's got a lot going on. So I beg you, just stay focused on the police part. Thank you, that's all I have. That's all I have.
Mr. Smith.
First of all, I'd like to wish my condolences to the Smith family in regards to the loss of life, senseless killing. In regards to the censorship, censor Mr. Roman, last meeting we had with the town council, the officers in this room expressed the main reason that they were looking to find employment elsewhere was lack of community support. Those were their words. In the midst of all that, we had Councilman Long siding with outside agitators, pot stirrers, people not even from our community, saying all types of negative things about the town of Wadesboro, the leadership of it, officers as well. I thought that was unbecoming of a leader. I thought that was bringing down morale. I thought that was hurting our community. So those are my sentiments in regards to that matter. You can't leave from behind and tear down a community and didn't expect good results. Mr. Lear talked about lack of people coming to this community over the past few months, get into Airbnbs, hotels, etc. I don't think you can talk negatively about a place that you represent and expect to get different results in that. So that's why I voted for that to happen, and I stand by that vote. That's all it is.
Mr. Gatewood, I asked you to stay. Mr. Gatewood, I had the same thought that you had. On the end, it's the community. The song, the 803 sing, boots on the ground, I'm with you. We have to solve this from 12 to 30. The males are different. And so, wherever you tell me, I'm there. Wherever you tell me, sir, I'm there. That's why I took the time to go see that little boy today. He's gonna need us. His daddy gonna need us. He's gonna need this community. And that's what we have, that's who we are. We'll wait for all of this stuff we done. We're about the business of Wadesboro. That's what we're about from here on out. At this time, I need a motion to adjourn. I need a motion to go into closed session.
Can I ask just one question right before you get out of here? One thing. I heard something that I want to say. I want Mr. Spencer to be held to the same regard as Mr. Cheney and Mr. Ashby, please.
I need to go in.
Make a motion to go into closed session.
Second.